What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into X-Men Red issue number 8. Now that I am back from my vacation, we are going to be getting at it. We are going to be covering everything that we haven't yet covered. We're going to be pumping these videos out every single day. But you guys know X-Men Red, Immortal X-Men, they have been two of my favorite lines coming out of the entire X-Men series. This one I am truly excited about because this new era of X-Men Red picking up after Judgment Day. We have Cable, who is focusing on Abigail Brand. For those that have been following the comics, you already know Abigail Brand has been playing all sides. Abigail Brand is out for herself. She doesn't care about mutant kind. She doesn't care about Orcus. She cares about using and manipulating anybody and everybody to get her overall goal. And so far up to this point, she has been very stealthy about it. She has been able to get away with all of her manipulating and all of her scheming. That, of course, is until she died. This is when WizKid and Cable, they found out some of her secrets, backup files that she had really saved for herself. In case of her death, she saved these files so she could read them by herself, so that she would not lose any of her scheming, nothing. But now that Cable and WizKid have found this out, they are creating more or less their own secret sword team to take down Abigail Brand. Now, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright guys, so we are picking up with Weaponless Zen, a bar on Dolo Mayan. This is a bar where the galaxy's mercenaries, they come, they drink, and then they go do their battles. With Weaponless Zen finding herself in the company of individuals like Blackjack O'Hare. She is learning that the mercenary life she had sought out, it really doesn't exist. Not when you have members or people like Guardians of the Galaxies out there kicking some absolute butt. The work for everyday mercenaries, it's just not the same. But this is when we have Cora arrive. Behind her, we have Cable. Cable is coming with a job for Weaponless Zen. Cable believes that Weaponless Zen's abilities might actually be useful, and saying that there would be some kind of military application for her talents. But she also has other weapons. Doing a scan of one of her knives, it is almost as sharp as Logan's claws, and is almost as unbreakable. Cable is actually relatively impressed with the tech here, but Weaponless Zen really wants to know, why are you here? Because she has heard that Cora performed assassinations for Abigail Brand. If that is what she has planned, she would like to know who is the target, with Cable letting her know that of course it is Abigail Brand. And so while Cable is out here recruiting his team up on Arakko, the diplomatic zone, this is where we have a meeting of all the empires, from Empress Xandra, Gladiator, Deathbird, all the way to Nova, Frenzy, and the Power Scroll, because there have been some information that has come to light. Everybody would love to avoid war, but there are grievances. There are things that people need to bring up as they wait for everybody to make their arrival. Storm has yet to arrive. With everything that happened with Judgment Day, there are empty seats on the Great Ring of Arakko, which means these seats, they need to be filled. More than likely, Storm is currently preoccupied with doing all of that. But as we wait for all the delegations to arrive, on Sword Station, we have Mantello and we have Abigail Brand. They are watching. They are waiting. Abigail Brand wants to lure everybody to Arakko. A little bit concerned that the Empress is late, and then there is Storm. Now, she isn't really concerned that Storm isn't showing up yet. In fact, she would be perfectly fine if Storm didn't arrive. The only problem is, she doesn't have eyes on Storm. Not knowing where she is, this causes a problem. Nonetheless, our delegation, they continue their conversation. This is when our scroll lets it be known of the Shapeless Ridge. The scrolls were allegedly conducting forbidden genetic weapons research at a facility that is known as Shapeless Ridge. The Kree Command had decided that a small force of stealth warriors could destroy the facility, with a larger force might fail. The experimental Kree soldier, the one known as Captain Glory, he led the force, massacring every single soul. In fact, they had barely put up a fight. That is was because Shapeless Ridge did not make weapons. It was a treatment facility for the wounded Skrulls no longer able to shapeshift. The intelligence that they had got was wrong, the Kree refusing to admit their error. They had sworn vengeance, and that is when war had flared up yet again. However, there has been new information that has come to light. The Kree did not make their error alone. They were fed false reports designed specifically to throw everybody into war. The question is, who would do such a thing? That is when the Empress arrives, saying that it was her empire that spread those false allegations. They had done it for their own strategic benefit. It is one of the 10 shames that the Kin Crimson sought to bury, the crimes of a previous empire regime. But the Empress now knows that they must pay for this. They must pay for it in full measure. Abigail Brand, excited that the Empress had finally showed up, believing now it is showtime. That is where we pick up with Cable's secret sword team, made up of Thunderbird, Manifold, Weaponless Zen, Korra, and WizKid. Now, Manifold being a little bit unsure about all the details. He wants Cable to fill him in, bringing everybody up to speed on exactly what is going on. He lets us know that Abigail Brand had triggered the resurrection protocols, but a resurrection via Cerebro backup only goes so far. That means when she came out of the egg, the first thing she did was check her files and to see what was missing. But WizKid and Cable had been checking it as well. They saw everything, which obviously it's not everything, just the most recent files. But even that is pretty damning. Abigail Brand is working with Orcus, or she is at the very least playing them, or she is playing all of them, Krakoa, Arakko, Orcus, in a temporary situation that will really be used to leverage a more important goal. Manifold not necessarily being fuzzy on that aspect of the mission, but what he needs is a destination. He can take them anywhere in the universe, but he needs a start and end point. This is where Cable enlightens them that they are working with an individual by the name of Orbis Stellaris. Abigail Brand has been working with her, a gene tech entrepreneur of unknown origins, dabbling in bioweapons, and this includes militarized cloning. She had partnered with him to try and steal a sample of Cable's techno-organic virus. He is guessing that she had sent a sample to Orcus to keep them more or less sweet, but knowing Brand, she has bigger plans. Having a piece of it in Manifold's hand, this gives him what he needs. There are only 2 places in the universe where that particular viral load is found. One is in the palm of his hand. The other one, Manifold has the location, letting him know that it is far out beyond everything, the gulf between the galaxies. We see him opening up some portals that will get them directly where they need to go. That is what brings them to the World Farm, home of the progenitors, the ancient alien super scientists, the ones who attacked Arakko to steal his virus. Cable had been assuming that Stellaris was using progenitor clones, but they get ready for their attack, with Manifold opening up a portal bringing them exactly where they need to be. As they start to look around and get a glimpse of this place, they see inside of giant vats the same techno-organic virus the progenitors that took from Cable. It looks like they've been trying to breed it, which answers some of his questions, but not all of them. Why would the progenitors align themselves with Orbis? Why would he pursue their goals, and what does Abigail Brand get out of it? This is when he sees the truth. 3 aliens standing before them, opening up the data files. This is where they all learn the truth. This is where they learn that Vulcan had been controlled, that he wasn't actually fixed, that he was created into the perfect sleeper agent, because Vulcan had mysteriously returned right at the dawn of the Krakoan Age. It was all orchestrated. They knew that they would take him in. Scott, everybody wanted to believe that he had been whole, that Vulcan had been fixed. This is where we see Orbis, or at least a giant machine that is controlled killed by Orbis come plummeting in, and by the dialogue it seems that Orbis has either been controlling or creating the progenitors. And so with Cable and his team about to face off against Orbis Stellaris, we pick back up at the diplomatic zone. Tensions are getting a little bit high, cause the Skrulls now want to know, what is our payment going to be? How are you going to make amends? How is the Empress going to fix this before we jump into total war? But with the tensions getting very high, this is where we see the arrival of Emperor Vulcan, letting them know that their king has returned. He is getting ready to burn everybody alive. And this is where we get the data page informing us on exactly how Abigail Brand has got to this point, letting us know that Galactic Society is moving towards a state of total war or total peace. Either way, the Sol system, they are underrepresented and vulnerable, needing to take their proper place on the galactic stage. This is a living document for solving that problem. Phase 1, Krakoa, a new mutant nation founded by the X-Men. This is a priority alliance for Abigail Brand, an entire nation of mutants with limitless resources. And if Black Bolt was able to return, Vulcan could as well. Phase 2 is seize opportunities. Krakoa being a very useful ally. The 10 of Swords event, it led to the retrieval of the Lost Sword Station. Also, a new influx and a non-civilized mutant population, believing that there was only a matter of time before the obvious solution presented itself. A local terraforming strategy. Following the Empire event, the galaxy moving towards total peace scenario with a side order of economic collapse. The time for her to move is now. Phase 3, consolidate power. This means quitting Alpha Flight, ensuring that her replacement is predictable. Pitch to Krakoa about salvaging Sword Station, turning it into a mutant space agency, knowing that they will terraform Mars. Pitch it to be the new Sol capital world, the seat of power. This is when she approaches Orcus for an alliance off the back of that. Jumping to phase 4, trigger the crisis. Encourage friction between the Iraqi and the diplomatic scientific community. Prime the Vulcan asset. Take advantage of events. Mutants stealing Mars would more than definitely cause some kind of crisis. Not knowing what it would be, Judgment Day was that prime event. This is when she decides to leak Shapeless Ridge. Leaking this would cause everybody to gather and discuss before war breaks out. Abigail Brand being the one to suggest Araco be the place where everybody has this diplomacy. That is what jumps us to phase 5, crisis becomes advantage. After this, she plans to guilt the X-Men. They accepted Vulcan, they are responsible. They'll be frontline soldiers and mediators with the Empire and the Alliance going to war, believing either the Iraqi will fall in line or she will be able to coerce the X-Men into forcing them back into Ameth, leaving Mars a pure demoplomic world. This would be Sword's first global station. The new Sword would take the role of S.H.I.E.L.D., a global defense agency, absorbing Orcus in it at the process. Then they would approach Nick Fury's contact list, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, anybody with pull on the Kree and the Skrulls. Their role would be the voice of reason, forcing the two sides to the negotiating table, believing that when it does happen, it may take some time, but when the dust settles, Sword and Soul will be everything they were always meant to be. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Abigail Brand's plan. It seems like it is something that could necessarily work. Obviously, this puts her at the very center of power. She would be the diplomatic voice for the entire solar system. All in all, it doesn't seem like the worst plan that has ever been created. It would bring the X-Men to the table, it would bring Orcus to the table. It leaves the possibility for an overall total peace. Yes, there's a lot of lying, there's a lot of manipulating, but at the end of the day, her overall goal, her best intentions, is to bring some kind of peace. The only problem is she is striving for power. She is striving to be the one to lead all of this. And while she may be good at manipulating, there are others out there that are more than likely manipulating her. She thinks that this plan is going to go just exactly how she wants it to. The only problem is, Cable has figured this out. It is only a matter of time before Storm figures this out. A matter of time before Orcus figure this out. The problem is, she is manipulating so many people. She is a double agent on top of a double agent on top of a double agent. But this does have the possibility for peace. Abigail Brand isn't necessarily the bad guy in this situation. She has done a lot of bad things. She has done a lot of immoral things. But if the end goal is total peace, if it means everybody is brought to the table and there is no longer hostilities, is that a bad thing? All the mutants returning to Ameth, all of the Iraqi mutants returning to Ameth, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, many of the mutants themselves have talked about the idea of returning to Ameth to return back to their roots, no longer being just riddled with war, no longer having battle and bloodlust be the center of their culture. It finds the Iraqi people in a very weird place. While some of them want to change, they want to become better, others would love to march into war. So coercing them back into Ameth, it may not necessarily be that difficult of a task. But you gotta love the way that they are writing Abigail Brand. One minute you hate her, the next minute you love her. One minute she's a traitor, one minute she is just trying to fix the entire system and make it operate as smoothly as possible. The only problem is the people that she is willing to sacrifice along the way to achieve this goal. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you would like to get caught up on everything going on with X-Men Red, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is going to get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership, much like Patreon having 5 different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to getting free comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you are unable to do that, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.